I'm James. I am 27 years old and I'm from the US. Lived there for most of my life and then now I'm currently living in Albania.
My name is Martin. I'm 28. I'm from Bulgaria and I'm currently living in Germany. And to be more exact, Nuremberg.
My name's Cameron. I'm 24 from Brighton in England and now living in Valencia, Spain.
And this is the Expat Show.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to I think it's episode 8 of the Expat Show. Did you miss me last week? I certainly missed you. I've got you guys speaking to you there. But yes, as always, I'm joined with James and Martin. 3 musketeers are back together again. How are you both today?
Well, back together but not together.
Yeah, of course.
We did miss you, Cam. So people who watched our last episode know why we missed you.
Yes. Anyone who listened to last episode.
Yeah. I'm yet to listen to it, but I'm sure I will. But of course, you're not here for last week's episode. You're here for this week's episode, where we will be talking about finding accommodation overseas. Now, of course, I'm living in Spain. Martin is in Germany and James is in Albania, so we all have 3 different experiences in finding accommodation, I am sure, but we will come back to that in a little bit. But first I wanted to see what you guys have been up to, what you've been up to this sort of week. Anything exciting?
James?
This past week, not much. Well, actually today I shot a promo for the local municipality. There's a wine and chestnut festival coming up in a month, and they needed a promotion shot, and so they came to me and asked me to shoot it. So I spent this morning and afternoon shooting and editing that. So that's exciting to kind of get my foot in the door of the local government to be able to work for them, because I'll just be totally honest, the quality of video in this city is subpar.
Pretty low, I'm sure. So you're coming in to bring that bar up. I like that. I'm trying. Little by little, yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it, James. Same as here, and I'm trying to get in that direction as well.
Yeah. It's a bit difficult here in Spain to find things like that. I mean, I was watching before I went to Madagascar. There was like a festival in my village, and it was a really nice festival. Could have made an amazing video, but I went the first night and there was like 6 people with Zion cranes, like Sony A7S3s, all in matching t-shirts. It's like, nah, not for me, thanks. yeah, definitely. I mean,
that's when you go and just vlog in the middle of their shot. You know, just have your gorilla pod and your camera and just walk in front of their camera.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Or even better, use a selfie stick and a phone.
Yeah. Well, that could work.
I was
shooting with an
iPad.
I was shooting with a phone today, actually.
Yeah. Well, technology these days it is definitely moving forward. But yeah, that's. I'm gonna link it back to my experience over the last few weeks in Madagascar, where we're talking about the technology. It is a very, very eye-opening place there. It's very difficult to see the level of poverty. It's almost like travelling back in time a little bit, you know, with the conditions that some people are living there, and like just seeing like people begging on the streets, and it's just so difficult. Even in like the most remote places, you've driven for 3 hours, and then there's people that are literally living in mud huts that they've built from muds in the local quarry with woods that they've taken off of the trees to build their home. And you see it everywhere, and these people have no jobs, nothing. And then you go into the city, and it is just like another world in the main city, Antananarivo. All high-rise buildings, blocks of flats, hundreds of cars, and it's just the complete opposite, just 4 hours away of how people live and where people live in Madagascar, which I think is a pretty good little segue into our topic today, accommodation. It's a little bit of a dark entrance into it, but there we are. So, but yeah, before we do it.
Oh man, I saw it coming this time. I saw it coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
I'm getting used to your segues, Cam. They're always amazing.
Thank you. I do try. I mean, it was a little bit of a dark topic, but if you want to find out more about Madagascar, a daily vlog is coming out soon, so do have a look on my channel for that one when it comes out. But yeah. And jumping straight into it then, accommodation. You guys, do you own? Do you rent? What's the situation for you both?
I'm renting
Martin?
currently. Yeah.
Renting. I am also renting.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I
Right.
will buy in the next year.
Okay. Yeah.
I would love to buy something here because it's not expensive. Well, all things considered, it's not expensive, and it would be a nice place even if I moved somewhere else. To still have it because I love this city, so it'd be nice to still have a place around here to be able to come back to whenever I wanted. But that is yet to be determined.
Yeah, I get that. I'm renting as well, and finds the house prices reasonable in some parts of Spain. So actually, maybe one day buy something. But yeah, have you?
Yeah.
For me, I've been very lucky. The two places that I have lived in Spain. The first one was a family member's home, my girlfriend's family member, and where I'm living now, it's a friend of the family, so I get a little bit discounted rent. So I've been very fortunate. How about you? Did you have
How much more discounted than the Spanish rent? What I saw when I was living in Spain, like rents in general are super low.
Yeah. So I'm living in a 3-bed apartment. This is the 3rd bedroom, my studio. If you're watching on YouTube, it's not massive. You can probably fit a single bed in here. Got a master bedroom with an ensuite and a 2nd bedroom, which you can fit a double bed in. And it was up on the market for €550 a month. I'm paying €450 a month, so I got €100 discount.
Come on.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how much I'm paying for a 2-room apartment?
Go for it. Go on.
Like, by a 2-room apartment, I mean like not in Spanish style that there are 2 bedrooms. It means that I have a living room and a bedroom.
Oh,
I'm
so
paying
literally 2
yeah.
rooms.
Yeah, I'm paying close to €1,100.
Wow, that is pretty steep.
And I am in a city which has pretty normal rent prices for the German situation, because like there are cities like Munich or Frankfurt or Berlin where rents are actually crazy.
Yeah.
You would pay the same amount for a single room apartment.
Mm-hmm. Totally get that. I see you smirking there, James, at that price. Break it to us. What's it like there?
I also have a 2-room apartment, kind of. I have a living room, a bedroom, a little kitchen that used to be a balcony, a bathroom, and a nice hallway. I'm paying, I think it's €74 a month.
Okay then. So, yeah, that's significantly.
Yeah, which.
This is how much I pay for coffee per month.
Yeah, so when comparing to other rent prices here, it's cheap. It's not, ridiculously cheap. I'm paying half of what some of these other people are paying around here for nicer, newer apartments. Mm-hmm. But compared to what you guys are paying, it's like pennies.
Also like mine is a deal because I also get a garage where I keep my car. I have unlimited bills and it's furnished.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I do get some benefits with it, but still, like,
yeah.
if I go out and find an apartment that doesn't have all these things included, it might then end up costing me even more.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My apartment, it came furnished. I've since furnished it a little bit more with slightly updated stuff, but all of the utility stuff is on me. Like I pay that. But I mean, I made a cost of living video, put it up on my channel this summer, and at one like that particular month that I was tracking expenses, I think my water bill was €7 and my electricity was 12. So it's really, again, still not that bad.
It costs you €7 just to flush the toilet in Germany, doesn't it, Martin?
I think that's how much it costs per minute to just breathe the air inside the apartment.
€74, 100. So I see myself, I'm like kind of in the midpoint. I get a little bit of a discount. I forgot to mention I have a like a garden on the roof as well. Nice little open air area for like.
Is it private or is it?
Yeah, it's completely private. It's just mine. Private in inverted commas. There's high-rise flats opposite that I can see in, but nothing a good fence wouldn't fix.
So the cold weather's coming to Albania. You have a whole extra room for me, right?
Yeah, come on in. We've it's a bit chilly here at the moment. I mean, today it was 27 at the lowest.
Yeah,
so,
bit chilly.
Yeah.
I actually I missed you until 5 minutes ago. Now I don't want to see you.
Remember earlier a few weeks ago when we chatted and you were talking about how warm it was in Spain, and I was talking about, oh yeah, it's been warm here. It's been like 28. So I would love some 27 right now. I mean, again, it's not bad right now. In my office, it's 18 though. Just sitting here looking at the thermometer. But outside, it's a bit.
So we have max
less.
temperature right now, like 16 degrees, and that's like at midday.
Midday,
like
sun
that.
high in the sky.
Yeah, sun high in the sky, but we cannot see it because there are so many clouds.
Winter is coming, as Ned Stark would say.
We have this depression period here in Germany where everything is just gray. You have gray skies for a couple of months. No sunshine, just depressing. Everything is dying.
So, because of the weather...
That's why we spend a lot of time inside in our apartments.
Yeah.
And, that's why I focus for it to be cozy.
So, because there's more people in their apartments in the winter because it's colder, do you think prices in Germany would go up or down for like looking for rent? Because here in Spain, in the summer, when everyone's coming here for holiday and they're looking for Airbnbs or a room to rent or a hotel, prices skyrocket. Like they go up a lot because there's that more and more people coming in. With the cold weather there in Germany, does that affect things at all in terms of like accommodation and looking for?
I don't think weather affects German prices, but they are on the rise because of all of the people coming to work and live in Germany. Technically, Germans cannot keep up with the constructions of new buildings for all the people that are coming. Prices are insanely high, especially if you go to a brand new building. You would have to pay like 1,500 euros for a 2-room apartment. And that's just for the apartment. Yeah. We're thinking in Germany is like most apartments don't come with a kitchen, so you need to fully furnish the entire kitchen, which costs, again, 4,000 or 5,000 euros.
Yeah, just for the oven and everything.
Yeah, also a deposit, which is usually 2 or 3 monthly rents. And it keeps piling up and piling up. So basically, if you want to change just your apartment, you need to spend 15,000 euros.
Yeah, that is pretty
I think, James, you can live for an entire year with that amount in Albania.
15,000 euros?
Yeah.
Oh, I could live on half of that. I mean, not completely, but like close to it.
Yeah.
I mean, my monthly salary is less than half of 15,000 euros. So
it's all sort of balancing out with how much you're paying in rent and things like that as well. But,
right. Which, like here, it makes it a little bit more difficult to travel anywhere because it's all balanced out, you know. But plane tickets are something that stay consistent.
Yeah.
So I don't make as much, so it takes 2-3 months' salary to buy a plane ticket to go somewhere outside of Europe. But
yeah,
that's why I live and stay in Albania for the most part.
Speaking about balance, like how much of your monthly wage does your rent cost? Like in percentage or?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm not good at math in my head.
Yeah.
It would be less than 20%.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, I think mine's about the same.
Yeah.
I think mine's about the same.
Less than 20.
Yeah, because I split my rent with my girlfriend, so I'm only paying. It was 450, so I'm paying 225 just myself, and that's maybe
Right.
maybe 20% of what I earn. So
Yeah.
In the U.S., my rent cost was closer to 40 or 50% of my salary.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
So the
But-
30
but- well, okay,
percent in
it
Germany
wasn't
is
salary.
okay.
It was 40 or 50% of what I was making as a freelance video. When I had a job, it was significantly less, but I had a good deal when I lived there. So
yeah.
yeah, it all varies. But here, I mean, I'm stoked to have something that's cheap, even by standards here, just so that I can spend my time and money doing other things. I mean, I try to get out every weekend and go somewhere until recent weekends.
So you're
but-
living alone, James, right?
Yes, completely alone, which is also strange for people here because Balkans, they tend to, live
Yeah.
with their families, with their parents. I have a friend who's married, and most of the time he lives with his wife at her parents' house with her other sister and her sister's husband. But then sometimes he'll go back to his mom and dad where his brother lives, and
Okay.
just some weekends he'll stay with them.
Yeah.
And things like
That
that.
sounds Balkan as hell.
Yeah, so more
Yeah.
like an
So me
extended
being by
visit.
myself, doing everything, shopping, all of it. On
My
own
my
is
idea
a little
is
bit
like,
different.
for example, that here in Germany, people, unless you're an engineer or you have a really good paying job, basically it's hard to afford to live alone. Obviously,
Well-
Albania is possible. Like how's the situation in Spain, for example?
The situation in Spain, I mean, with the job that I have, I probably could live on my own, but most people don't. Like the majority of the people that I work with, they're either in shared accommodation and like a big flat in the city where they're sharing with maybe 2 to 4 other people, and they're just renting out one bedroom within the bigger building. And from what I heard, I wouldn't really want to do that. I'd rather do what I'm doing now, stay outside of the city and travel in, because what they're paying in rent just for one bedroom, I wouldn't have any trouble paying double just to have the whole apartment to myself. I don't really enjoy sharing with strangers,
Yeah, I understand, but it's still possible. That's a cool thing.
Yeah, if you get full-time work, maybe not in the city, because in Valencia city, which is the city I'm closest to, the apartment that I have, I live on public transport or driving. It's maybe 20 to 30 minutes drive from the centre of Valencia. If this apartment was in the centre of Valencia, it would easily be over €1,000 a month.
Okay,
It's
so
just
pretty
because I've
German.
got that. Yeah, so if you're willing
I
to travel in,
I don't know too many other people here, especially not in the. I don't think I know anybody in this city that lives on their own. I mean, everyone that I know lives with family, and then I know a few people that live in the capital in Tirana, and they live by themselves. Sometimes, if it's like a one room apartment where like the kitchen and then they have like a little bathroom, but like the kitchen is like part of their bedroom. But most people probably live with someone here as well. It's just I am in a small enough city and, cheap enough rent. I make enough doing all the things that I do that I can afford it all.
yeah. Would you want to live with someone else? Like, obviously you're not, but
I think it depends. I really, really enjoy living on my own.
yeah.
I also would, if it's someone, because I've lived with, since I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18, I think I've had 30 to 40 different roommates, different, in the same apartment or house or, dorm room or whatever. And it's much nicer when I get to pick who I live with, because a lot of those it wasn't up to me. It was just, oh, here's the spot that I have to live.
Yeah.
So I could see, I would be fine with living with someone, especially if it's an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment, and pay twice as much as I'm paying now. I mean, total twice as much as I'm paying now. Get a slightly newer place, more light. I just wish there were more windows in my apartment. There's almost none. I'm basically underground. Things like that. Like, I could probably afford a bigger apartment that costs more and was in a higher spot with a better view, more sunlight, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't see much point in doing that. If I was going to live with someone else, and we each had our own space, then I would go for it. But I'm not really like actively looking for it.
Yeah, I totally get that. And I mean, for you there, Martin, with rent being so expensive in comparatively a small apartment, it's like you wouldn't have that option to live on your own unless you had a very, very well-paying job.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, when I came initially in Germany, I lived alone in this apartment. It was okay from financial perspective, but I couldn't have any money at the end of the month. So I was basically on
so
zero.
it's almost just working to live almost.
It was almost like half my salary at that point, and I've stayed in this apartment since I got here. So
Plus bills and everything, so I can imagine. I think you were saying a little bit earlier where you've got so many people coming into Germany to look for work and try and find work, the prices are going up. Is it to the point where if someone wanted to move to Germany now, they absolutely couldn't find anywhere to live, or is there still the options there?
actually, it is possible to find where to live. The problem is this newcomer paradox problem from documentational perspective and all of that. It's super crazy when you apply for an apartment. I actually made a video about this, like how to break this paradox, because it's a really closed circle, and you need this to get this, and a chicken and egg problem. You need to have a job in order to get an apartment, but in order to get a job, you need to get an apartment so you can register and get your papers and tax numbers and whatever for the job. It's crazy.
So
also,
it's just like you have to have this to get that, and it's always conflicting on the way.
it's basically like an interview for a job. You go there and you say, okay, this is my profession, I earn this much, this is my experience, this is solid, you can see my bank statement for the last 10 months, I've got money,
Right.
I'm willing to pay more than you asking for just so I can get this apartment.
Okay. So
when I was looking for places in the U.S., they would, like official apartment buildings required you to have an application, and you had to pay an application fee to even like apply to get into the apartment, and then you had to have references from previous landlords. And it's like, I've never had a previous landlord before, you know, like how am I supposed to get this reference? And they're like, well, you can't get an apartment unless you have the reference. I'm like, well, how do I get the reference without having an apartment?
There
It's
is
the
a
same
trick
sort
for
of
that actually in Germany, and those are special companies that deal with, for example, furnished apartments like mine. So they deal only with apartments that are like sort of all-inclusive, so you don't have to take care of bills and furnishing. Just when you arrive, you have somewhere to live directly, and they vouch for you because they've worked with your company that you're coming for. They know them. They know they're okay, and yeah, they're also vouch that if you for some reason just vanish and there is no one to rent the apartment, they will find as soon as possible someone.
Right, that makes sense. For here, it's interesting because a lot of people will leave this particular city but keep their houses or their apartments that they often own. So there, during the wintertime, there are a bunch of empty houses that people only come in for 2 months or 2 weeks out of the year when it's summer and they want to come to the lake. And I'm like, just give me one of those houses and I'll live in it for 10 months and then go find somewhere. Because when you're looking for an apartment in this city, when I was looking for an apartment, most of the people were like, well, how long do you want to rent? Because they're willing to give a good normal price for 10 months, but then they kick you out for the 2 summer months where they charge 3 times that to someone else who's just coming for the summer. You know, and I'm like, well, okay, so charge me a little bit more than the reasonable price and then let me stay in it for 12 months. But they don't understand that. They just see the, 350 euros a month for 2 months. They don't think about, that's only 700 euros, whereas if they rented for the whole year, then I could pay them 1,200 euros or whatever,
Yeah, it's a very similar situation here in Spain. So the first place I was living was in a little village called Villar del Arcebispo. Now it's like out in the mountains. There's no public transport into Valencia apart from one bus very early in the morning, 7 a.m. That's the only way you can get to the city. So that village, I was living in there because it was my girlfriend's mum's house. And like in Albania, she only goes there for the summer. It's her summer house.
Right.
And it's like that entire village, like half of the village is for sale. Like you can buy properties there from like a 3-bedroom house, like 2-story house with a basement, and it maybe cost you 40,000 euros, dirt cheap. But because it's so out in the middle of nowhere, in inverted commas, it is just completely abandoned, and no one wants to buy it because no one's there. There's nothing happening. But for me, where I had access to a car as well, it was perfect. I was paying no rent. It was a half an hour drive to the public transportation, the metro, to then get into there. So it was like 2 hours in total just to travel into the city, but not having to pay any rent. It was pretty helpful, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Definitely. So, I mean, I mentioned how I found my apartment through this agency. How did you manage to find the apartments in Spain and Albania?
Work helped me because I was living on the campus at work, and they have like this nice guest house that's basically a hotel. And I was like, I don't want to live in one room where the only place to sit is my bed, you know, that sort of stuff. Like I want something that feels actually like a home. Also because we're slightly outside of the city, like a 15-minute walk. And so I didn't feel like I lived in Albania because the organization is founded by Germans, and they still live on the campus. And so I was always around people speaking German. And then it's also like much nicer than most of the city. Yeah, it's much nicer than most of the city, and so it just didn't feel like I was in Albania. And then I was here for 5 months. I was walking through the city, and I was like, weird. I don't feel like I live here at all. Like this is strange. And then so started asking people around work, and somebody knew somebody whose grandma was trying to rent this extra apartment, and so that's how I ended up there. And it was great because they were renting it because they just didn't want it empty. They weren't trying to make a ton of money, hence the price. And I'm surrounded by like a family, and so like above, like across the little garden courtyard area is like the grandma and grandpa, and then above me is her son or daughter and their husband or wife and family. Like I don't know which one belongs to them, but and then they have
belongs,
and then they have their kids running back and forth. So every once in a while, I get this little 4 or 5 year old boy peeking in my windows and give me a little thumbs up sign, trying to wink at me. But it's just a nicer feel than living in a high-rise apartment where you only see your neighbors if you happen to be walking down the stairs at the same time. And it's definitely feels more home than living in a hotel. So it was all just word of mouth and knowing the right people. Like finding a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was saying with myself, it's definitely, I don't like living in the high rises. I've got a friend who lives in one, and it's like the building is like a donut shape almost, but square. I don't know the word for it. So it's got like a big empty column in the middle where there's windows, but my friend's apartment hasn't got any windows at all. None. Even there, because I don't know, maybe it's like a structural part of the building where they've had to like reinforce it, but it's completely dark. And then she was saying, oh yeah, the floors above, they've only got like one little window looking into this little square. It's just like, oh, no thank you.
Yeah, the only reason I would move into something like that is for a view. I mean, here I could get one and have a view of the lake and be able to see the sky every time. Like right now, I don't have, my kitchen windows overlook like this little vineyard that the neighbors have. And I can kind of see the sky a little bit and a little view of the mountains, but you can only see the lake through this little tiny sliver through two trees.
I'm not sure I would live in such an apartment even if someone paid me to live there.
Yeah, oh, definitely not. The only reason I would move to something high-rise is to get a better view and have more windows and more light.
Exactly, and this is a huge problem for me in Germany because windows are not that big. Like, okay, new buildings have a lot of windows, big windows, but they're crazy expensive. So everything that's older, they do not use to the full maximum the walls, and it's kind of dark inside, and this is a big problem for me.
Yeah. Cameron, how did you find your apartment?
It was my word of mouth as well. So the first apartment was my girlfriend's partner. Then when we both got jobs, we could afford to actually move somewhere close to the city. We were looking online, like the online websites. The big one in Spain is Idealista. There's a few others. We went to a couple of agencies. Saw a couple of apartments, went for a walk around, things like that. But this one that we're living in now, it was a friend of the family that was like, okay, we've got this apartment, we're not using it, we'll give it to you at £100, €100 off, and here we are. So
yeah, those are the best places
$4.50
to
a month
find.
plus
Also,
bills.
like I feel like especially here, all the agencies are gonna charge you extra. I mean, especially once they find out I'm an American. That's why I was trying to get other people to look for me. One of my coworkers is a guy who moved here from the States, so that everyone considers him American, but he's from Zimbabwe. And he and his family have been trying to find a different place to live. They have a place, but every time they go into a new house, the person who's, they've been told, oh, it's $250 a month. And he goes in and they say, oh, an American, and he's a professor at a university, €800 a month. And he's like, no, like I'm not, see ya.
Come on.
But that's not agencies, but I would imagine agencies would do the same thing to him and to anybody,
They
that's
always have to get their
typical
bit off the top.
Balkan mentality that I don't like.
Yeah, understandably so.
Yeah. I think it's a bit more global, really. Agency fees, because
No, I'm not talking about the agency
yeah.
fees, but for like when you move from a more developed country to a less developed country, that they charge you extra because they think you're like loaded.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Going a little bit off topic, and in Madagascar, for example, when you're going into a national park to go and try and spot some wildlife, for the locals, the tickets were 2,000 ariary, which is 25 cents, 50 cents, and for the tourists, it was 45,000 ariary, so like a 250% increase in price just because we're tourists.
Actually, I've heard the same about Spain. For Barcelona, my parents told me the story that they had some friend that is local and took them to some museum, and basically they paid like €1 to enter, but the rest of the people paid like €20 to enter, just because a local went and bought the tickets.
Yeah, that's happened to me. That's happened to me a number of places here. It just depends on who I'm with. So I went into a national park and they charged me like €6, and there was an Albanian with me, and she walked up to the guy and he was like, "Oh, you're Albanian? Okay, just go in for free." And I was like, all right, cool. Like I was with her, we walked up to the ticket thing together. And then there was another time where I was at a different spot going into an amphitheater, and they've like, blocked it off and made it into a tourist attraction, which is great. Like if you're gonna do this, like make money off of these ancient ruins, like that's fine. I'm all for that. I'm all for the tourism economy. But we walked up, and because I didn't go up to the window, just the Albanian guy walked up and was asking. He said, "Oh, is so-and-so working today?" And she goes, "Oh, no, she's not here today." And he's like, "Oh, we're friends. I was hoping to see her." And the woman's like, "Oh, both of you can just go in for free. That's fine." All right, cool.
Talk your way into it a little bit. So, it definitely seems a common thing with tourists increasing the price. So I definitely see Valencia, even the 6 months I've been here, the more popular it's becoming, because it is growing in popularity, Valencia, because everyone's been to Madrid, everyone's been to Barcelona, they want somewhere new. The prices I've been looking because I've been just curious of how much like flat plot prices are, or apartments to buy are in the city. They're definitely going up, and I've been speaking to some of the local people here. They said like, a year after Airbnb happened, the price is it's almost unaffordable. Like in Barcelona, for example, it's completely unaffordable for the people now. It's almost like the prices there in Germany, if not a little bit more, like just a 2-room apartment, €1,200 a month. And that mostly was because of Airbnb.
Yeah.
Would that sort of thing happen, or does it happen in Albania? Like, I don't know, because maybe that tourist side isn't as big as it is here in Spain or Germany. But if
Well-
it were to get more popular, do you see it happening?
On the coast, it does happen, like on the beaches. But the thing is that like the prices are so, because nobody can afford it during the tourist season. Well, they say no one can afford it during the tourist season, yet they all still go. But they, like during the non-tourist season, the prices drop dramatically. So I could go get a penthouse Airbnb with 4 bedrooms for $45 a night. Like overlooking the Adriatic, you know, like right on the beach sort of thing. If I went at this time of year. If you go during the summer, it's 100 or more. And so the locals there, and even locals, like just locals here, like just Albanians in general, will often like talk about, oh, don't, like, it's so expensive to go to the coast in the summertime, but yet they all decide to go on vacation during the summertime. Because, I mean, that's when their kids or whatever. But like for me, it's like, oh, why would I? Everyone was asking me, when are you going on vacation? Why would I go on vacation in the summertime if everything's 2 or 3 times more expensive? I'll just wait. I don't care if most of the restaurants are closed now. Like, doesn't matter to me, you know.
Yeah, there's going to be one thing open at least.
Yeah, yeah. So
might as well.
the summer months don't really, like, it's not shifted so much that it's always that expensive. That could possibly happen. I just don't think Albania is developed enough for people to want to come here on vacation at all times of the year. So during the summertime, it is really nice, and people come from, you know, all over the world, and especially all over Europe. But like during the winter, I would go to the beach. It's going to not be as warm and probably not going to want to swim, but it's still going to be a nice view, you know? So I don't think it's quite affected it to the same extent, but yeah, it has done some.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the seasons affecting it here, because I'm actually going to Barcelona in a couple of months to see a Hans Zimmer performance. But even just like today, we were looking for Airbnb or preferably a hotel, but it's like, it's a catch-22, because I don't really like Airbnb because it is driving housing prices up all over the world, not just in Spain, but because it's driving those prices up, the hotels in Barcelona, from what I've seen, are trying to fight back by increasing their costs, so it's actually cheaper to do Airbnb as a consumer. But even then, we decided to go with a hotel, and it's still like €60 for a night, and it's like just a really basic room with a bed and a shared bathroom with the rest of the people on the floor.
Right.
So it's a difficult one.
Yeah, that's why I tend to avoid places like Barcelona. You know, that's why I look for the places that are off the beaten path. I would rather pay that money for a car and drive somewhere to housing that's much, much cheaper, you know, and somewhere that's less known, you know. I've never been to Spain, so I mean, I'm sure I would love to go to Barcelona or Madrid, but like being where everyone else is, everything's going to be more expensive. I mean, I was in France 3 years ago. I was in Paris and stayed one night in Paris in a Airbnb so small that I could sit on the bed and like turn on the shower and touch the front door and like all of this stuff, you know? And it was like 45, 50 euros a night. And I was like, this is ridiculous. It was a great location. I mean, it was like 2 minutes from the Notre Dame Cathedral, rest in peace.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like that sort of thing. But I just was like, this is not worth it for me, because like I just don't really care that much about Paris or about big cities like that, unless they're big cities that people don't know about, you know?
Yeah. Well, you have to come over to Valencia before it turns into Barcelona 2.0.
All right,
So.
I'll start looking at tickets right now. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
I actually keep an eye out for tickets.
Yeah, for
Valencia,
example,
because they pop up every once in a while for pretty good deals. So.
Well, the room's there, and for you, Martin, of course. So, to apologise if you hear a horn, but
Holy.
the
I hear
Spanish,
it.
they get very impatient, let's say.
Yeah, I thought you got transported back over to the Balkans for a second. No, Albania, like you can't go 5 minutes without. Actually, they generally don't use their horn much. Just when someone's in the road in front of them.
Yeah, for me, it was never something weird to use the horn, because I got used to it back home. But since I've been living here in Germany for 3 years, and using your horn just to like tell someone off or something like that is forbidden as like a psychological attack or something. You can actually get fined for using just the horn for no apparent reason.
Quite odd, but I think we can keep more strange little facts like that for another episode where maybe we can talk about strange facts, things like that, and I think that is a pretty good way to wrap up. I think we've discussed most of the things that we were going to be about finding an apartment. Kind of drifted away from finding an apartment to experiences with an apartment. Maybe we can work on the title of this show. But what about you guys listening at home? How have you found finding an apartment? Has it been easy? Has it been difficult? Or like, what's your experience been? I really want to know. I mean, where can they email us and contact us? Where can they do that?
The Expat Show
That's
at
the one.
mail.com.
The Expat Show at mail.com. You can find us on.
We should know this, but first it sounds like Cameron doesn't know it because he's asking, and then when Martin answers, it ends with a question mark, and he's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Cameron credited this email, so I wasn't sure if
right.
it was
Expat
exactly
Show
like that. But yeah, so
At mail.com.
to confirm,
We do know what we're doing. I promise.
Contrary to
Kinda,
popular belief.
maybe.
worst case, people can always contact us in the comment section on YouTube, Facebook page. I don't know, podcasts.
Just review.
Well,
Those
if you're
are
listening
supporting
on
types of comments.
if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, that'd be nice. Leave us a little review. Tell us what you think. Maybe share us with a friend. Who knows? But yeah, any parting words for you guys?
I mean, all I'm going to say is that I cannot wait to leave my office and go back to my €74 a month apartment and eat some dinner and settle in for the night with a good book.
Yes.
Oh yeah, same here. One last thing, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because we really want that custom
Yes.
link. To the
Maybe
YouTube
even by the
channel.
time you hear this episode, we would have hit 100. But if not, that is the target. Definitely roll on to that. For me, it is definitely nice being
Hopefully.
back home after spending 3 weeks Madagascar. I stayed in 15 different apartments or hotels or things like that, so that was a little bit tiring. Find out more on my channel. Any interesting things happening on your personal channels? Because we all do YouTube, if you hadn't guessed already.
Nope, like I said, I haven't uploaded a lot the past few months, just dealing with some health issues, getting some blood tests, testing out this Albanian health system, see how well it works.
Ooh, I'm sure that will make a tasty video or podcast topic
yeah,
at
we'll
some
see.
point.
We'll see.
The health system. Very good.
Yeah. I recently came back to YouTube, so I'm posting every week now, new videos. Make sure to check it
Very
out,
good,
Martin
very
Ivanov.
Yes.
It's not hard to find.
But everything will be linked in the descriptions as well. Maybe one day we can all make a video here in Spain, because mi casa es tu casa, as they say. That's my close today. Mi casa es tu casa. Yes.
All right,
Yeah,
fellas,
all
I'm
right.
hungry. Let's go home.
Cool.
You're both home already. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I did just
Yeah.
eat.
Ciao.
I had some nice salmon. Cheese.